Okay, so last part of the lectures and starting to introduce the project that I did, I would like to recognize some sort of attitude nowadays in the relationship between architecture and nature. One is architecture that imitate nature, one is architecture that are interconnected with nature, architecture that host nature, architecture as a landscape, and architecture in the natural context. So I mean that my project, the project I want to show you, are less or more oriented to in these two, let me say, in these two groups, are interconnected with nature and host nature, okay? And or sometime become a part of landscape, of course, but could be, it's up to you. So I show you the project and eventually we define if there is space for my project in the list of attitude that nowadays are present in the debate of relationship between architecture and nature. I show you some project that I did in a very long period from 2004 till nowadays, so 10 years, and in all of these projects are different story did by different groups. This project, the first one is the project that I did with Group 12 that I founded in 1993. Is a group of researchers that organizes his time in a free way, and we met sometime to define and decide which kind of topic we want to develop for the future and for the next years. And we was invited by the Biennale of Venice to organize a space to show and define the relationship between Venice and his dimension in terms of not physical, but in terms of sequence of layers that cross and merge nature, architectures, waters, etc. This one is the idea that we propose to the Biennale, to have a sort of new floating island that find this space in the lagoon and not in the present island, so add small pieces in Venice with a piece of nature installed inside of his space. And this one is the position, this one is the biennial garden where there is the all different pavilion, and this one is the place for our intervention. It's a very simple element that in a sort of sense become a sort of part of a landscape. We add small pieces in which one trees find this place, this space in the middle of a lagoon, far away from the island, but from this point of view, you notice that this one is a sort of single pieces, small pieces add in the huger one that becomes a part of that figure, a part of that landscape. And inside there is a huge tank to contain the trees and a sort of corridor that surround the trees. And it's very simple because this space, when there is the high water, disappear completely, and this island remain totally isolated, and it's impossible to come into that space. If it's happened, you have to stay in this border and wait that the high water disappear, and again you could use this corridor. And it's a sort of symbolic representation of the element which Venice is meet each other and they mix up. So it's a sort of, let me say, it's a sort of homage to the Venice, homage to the idea that in the Venice you could find a very strange relationship with the nature, with and without water, where the trees are a sort of symbol of something that is located in a very clear space and not sprawling in the city, and where the sky appear and disappear according to the fact that you could stay in the narrow street and to pass your time close in the some space that is totally defined by the stone, totally defined by the history of the city. And as you know, there was also a possibility to have at the end of the corridor one stairs that go till touching the water when the water is at a lower level, and then go up again from the other side and turn again around. Then there is this project. It is another project I did with Group 12. Is lab is a installation that we did for the Kroller-Müller Museum in close to Rotterdam. Is a interesting museum that hosts many pieces of art inside of the museum and many pieces of land art in the park. This is a huge park. This one was the place that they give us to organize our project. The project is in 2004, if I don't remember, and they asked us to organize one project. It's a sort of the topic was to think about. They asked us to do and to represent our idea of a contemporary city. Of course, it was in 2004. Many things happens from 2004 till now, but our idea was very simple in the way to represent in a physical way what is it for us a city in relationship with the nature. This one is the field, in a sort of a huge field surrounded by woodland, and our idea was to define a perimeter along this stone frame, define what is field and what is wild woodland, and this is a sketches that we did to organize our idea of a city that is in a sort of sense is a sort of representation of a labyrinth. For us, the city was an incredible labyrinth of idea, people, space, and materials. And so at the end, in the middle of this woodland, we define a sort of fence, a sort of ring in a ring, a sort of box in a box, in which you could find your own way to appreciate the nature. From outside, from in the internal space. Because as you notice, the plan of the intervention is done by one external space, one corridor, one internal space, and one bubble or some rooms directly connected to the corridor, but not connected to the internal space, and also not connected to the external one. So the idea that if you stay out, you are out. If you stay in, you are in. And if you stay inside of the space, you are inside of the space. And if you want to change your position, you have to exit or pass through and change again and turn again. And so the idea to create a sort of labyrinth, this is some drawing, this is material that we used to do the project, and this is the external wall, the first one, so the woodland, and we had a new perimeter, so we built our city. So we built a city with a sort of clear act of foundation that divide and separate and define the differences between nature and architecture in the way to define that much more you understand what you are, much more you could understand what you want to become, okay? This one is the internal space, then the second wall, you notice this one is the structure towards the second wall, then the box, okay, that hosts the installation and some piece of art, and then the vision from outside. For the dark woodland, you could see a sort of incredible space that is protected by the woodland, protected by the darkness and host light and life. And then the corridor inside, so the space inside, this one is the gate that put in contact the corridor with the internal box, and the internal box where you could appreciate the nature from another point of view. So at the end, passing through this space, in this, and at the end, in the internal one, you could find a different way, you could find your own way to be in contact with the nature. Okay, all time through the architecture. So all time use architecture as a device that could help you to define your own way to appreciate and to are in contact with the nature. And then La Zona is another project that we did for also with the Group 12. It's a project we did also for the Biennale of Architecture, of Art, and this one is the main entrance of the Biennale Garden, all the different pavilion, and this one is the main way that go in direction to the other island is this one, and the previous project that I show you, the Deep Garden, is located exactly less or more here. This one is it's a space, it's an empty space that usually the Baena used as a green space, undefined, and without any clear functional definition, attitude. We design one box hosts some collection of art, and most important for us, we design this kind of carpet in front of the building hosting the piece of art. That was a sort of carpet of a trees, and in the same time it was a sort of safety buoy for all the visitors of the Baena that could find in that place one place to enjoy the nature, enjoy the shadow, and take your time, breathe in a little bit, and again start to go to visit the other pavilion. This one is the section, and you notice that we want to have a sort of carpet that hide behind that wall, the box where there was the art, in a way to keep and give value not to the piece of art, but much more to the existing presence of the trees. This one is the view from front, and this one is the my favorite one, in which you understand, you notice that the buildings behind this wall where there was the art exposition was completely covered by this wall that is a part of this carpet, and this carpet is a part of the trees. So at the end, we defined a place in which the nature could find a common field, a common space between architectures, nature, and of course people, and transform that place in a sort of artificial plaza, of course, artificial carpet, in which nature, people, and an architecture could find his own place, to find a sort of an agreement. Unfortunately, I have some picture without our intervention, but with our intervention, I want to be honest, these trees was trees without any value. So anyone spend this time in that place. Most of the people passing through go to visit that pavilion, the other one, and find this place in the bar along the border of the island, facing to the lagoon. Of course, everybody wants to stay in pied and low, facing to the lagoon. During the biennial, all of the people spend this time there, till to one important artist, that is Catalan, one Italian artist, decide to move his piece of art from the gallery, from the Italian pavilion, not that one, in that place. And at the end, this one became a sort of incredible connectors of the biennial event, only because I suppose we find the correct place to merge the quality of the nature that already exists in that place and the architecture in a way to support the nature, to become visible, let me say, and usable for the people and for the citizens. Okay, the last one is Bosco Verticale. I know that unfortunately some students that come from San Diego already know, so if you want to sleep and go away, you could do. So I don't. But Bosco Verticale is a project that I did from, it's a project that, as Francesca said, it's a project signed by Bori Studio, so me, Giovanni Lavare, and Stefano Boeri. And it's a project that is visible in the center of Milan. It's a part of a huge intervention. This one is the red area is the Porta Nuova place, Porta Nuova area that was bombing during the Second World War and remained till the beginning of 2000 completely empty and completely separate to the other part of Milan. This one is the Brera place, this one is Lazzaretto neighborhood, and this one is the Island neighborhood. The two main stations, so in a very important place, remained totally empty for a long time. In the beginning, at the early 2000, at the beginning of 2000, one American investor plus one Italian investor decided to buy piece by pieces all this red area and organize one competition and several workshops to define three different master plan, 1, 2, 3, connected by and through one central huge park that will become a third park for dimension for the city of Milan. This one is a Varesine master plan. This one is which is Garibaldi master plan. This one is Olonetta master plan. I was involved for many years to draw and to define this master plan, and then to define the building, the construction documentation, administrative documentation of these two buildings, that is the two towers of Bosco Verticale. As you already know, you guys, I said, I show all the time this kind of list of principle. It's a list of, is a sort of manifesto of Bosco Verticale. We defined this manifesto a little bit in between, during the processes to define the project, but also at the end of the processes of the project. So, as you notice, there is something that is very, very clear, very simple, and some other sentences that are a little bit complicated and complex. So Bosco Verticale, and so I list this one, and using this guideline, I try to explain something about the project. Bosco Verticale is a project for metropolitan reforestation. This one is the nursery of the plants that we collect in one place in north side of Milan, close to Como, coming from different places, from different farm. And our principle is that we try to collect in the buildings a huge number of trees, in the way to define a buildings as a forest. So you know that the forest is a forest when also the quantity is important. So most of the time we're talking about the value of the quality. Quality is not quantity. In that case, for me, the idea of Bosco Verticale is something related also of the quantity. Of course, you name it woodland, you name it forest, something that is huge, is big. Otherwise, you name it forest, you name it a garden or sequence of trees or boulevard or something like that. So one first topic was to try to increase the number, to increase the quantity of trees in the building. And the second was Bosco Verticale, project of urban densification. We try to move from this condition that consume many square meters, a lot of square meters, and that is not much more usable in a city as a Milano is without any huge dimension of field, in a way to move in vertical and produce a sort of sequence of vertical villa, vertical townhouse with every apartment with his own, let me say, floating garden in the air. And of course, you notice this one is a sequence of this sort of hometown or single home, single house in vertical, organized by a sequence of metrics and organization. And as you noticed also in that case, the quantity of trees is important, because the idea that this one could be named forest is related to the fact that the trees are real present. The quantity and the dimension of the trees are visible. And of course, this one is the most interesting for me section, because define the real space that we have in between the edge of the buildings that start here, but at the end go till the internal space, and the relationship with the different people living in that building. That is not only a simpler relationship between in and out, my apartment, my trees, my garden, but also my apartment and my gardens, my trees is something that comes from bottom, that comes from the neighborhood. Exactly in the same way when you live in a small houses in the countryside, the trees of your neighborhood is produce shadow in your garden, or become interesting during the winter and change colors, etc. So in this condition, our goal was to link in the vertical, in the horizontal, in the diagonal, all the inhabitants with the trees that are not strictly related to the people that live on the same floor in which we plant the trees. And this one is what is the vision of this section. This one, I'm in an apartment, and these trees come from the lower apartment till my point of view, till my own space, till my landscape, and they become a part of my landscape. I have many other pictures in which this condition of transversal and diagonal connection is clear. This one is, I open the windows and look out of my apartment, and I could recognize a sort of element floating in the air and become a part of my landscape, my own garden. And of course, this one is a vision from one apartment to the other one, in which my trees, the trees of the other building, and the future trees of a park become a unique, huge systems of green that pass from the public space to the neighborhood till my own trees. And more again. And the differences between some buildings that have a relationship with the natural element using reflection. Good, okay, of course. Me too, I did many buildings in glasses. I have no doubt that it could be interesting. And some other that have another relationship with the element of our landscape that is much more related to the natural element, the natural plants. Some by this one is some pictures, and again, the trees. And Bosco Verticale is an anti-sprawl device that contributes to the control and reduction of urban expansion. Of course, as you know, is what I already a little bit described. Instead to do this kind of type of urbanization, we decide to do tower and preserve its space for a public space in a way to link our vertical forest with the horizontal forest. And so in a way to produce an effect in which what is in a ground floor could be linked with what is in a upper floor, in idea to enlarge the space between the tower, between the space, and offer to the citizen a huge space in between the different buildings. And Bosco Verticale can aid to reduction of urban traffic congestion. Of course, if you locate the tower and the building close or in relationship with the infrastructure, you could reduce the movement of the people using the public transportation. And Bosco Verticale, this one also is very important for me, is a landmark of every changing landscape. As you know, as we showed you before, also the building done by glasses change according to the sky, according to the color of the sky, if there is raining or not, sun or not. But our building change also exactly for the element that we used to define it, to define the building. And it's not a reflection of the sky, it's not a reflection of a nature, but is the element of the nature that change according to the season, according to the period, with the spring or autumn, it change colors and could produce an interesting landscape that change itself, not change according to external factors, but change because the element that we used change. And this one is a sketch in which we define per each place, each floor, the different type of trees. Of course, we work with a group of colleagues that help us to define all different kind of trees, all different kind of position according to the exposition north, south, east, est, because as you know, the trees usually take sun and take light for all the space from east to west, from north to south. In that case, of course, is a restriction, and some trees take sun all of the day because facing to the south, and some trees never take sun, take light, of course, but never take sun because are located in the north side of a building and never take sun. So for that reason, we have to define groups of type of trees able to react at this condition very very not natural, but completely artificial. And Bosco Verticale create a microclimate and filter small dust and particles. This one is a sketch that we did to clarify that instead to use incredible system of sophisticated technical devices, we could try to use devices that is represented by the trees, by the vegetal and natural element, as a technical one. So of course, as a brise-soleil, these trees could protect the building by during the summer when there is the very strong sun, or leave the sun come in during the winter and broken the noise coming from the street and produce oxygen and filter the party cell with the natural chlorophyllian systems and go away. Relieve humidity and breathe in way to control in the space in between, in this huge edge that we define from the first layer of the skin till the inner part of a building, one sort of microclimate control by the presence of the plant. And Bosco Verticale increase the biodiversity. This one is a little bit funny. This one is the idea that we have, so it's what the birds see when they fly in the city. So they see the vegetal element and don't see the building. In sort of sense, they are attracted by the presence of the nature, the presence of the trees. And so we hope that this one becomes a place colonized by enormous quantity of small animals and birds. And Bosco Verticale is an urban sensor for spontaneous vegetable and animal recognition, and so of course becomes a sort of safety buoy, a sort of element that pointing it in the city could help to invite new form of life in the city in direction to balance our presence, and probably with a different number of different other animals than us, could be easier to recollect and could be interesting to reevaluate our position in the city, our role in the city, in direction to transforming the city in something a little bit complex and something that could host the growth and could host in its growth the rule coming from the nature. And Bosco Verticale increase the urban ecological culture and awareness. Of course, this one is an idea that Bosco Verticale, it's clear, don't solve the problem of the relationship between nature and architecture, but could be one first step in direction to reflect in a massive way in a new capability to link architecture and nature in the place where we live and where we will live for eternity. That is our city. Thank you.